Morning, Craig. Welcome in. Just doing a whole bunch of stuff this morning, nothing specific, so just figured I'd jump on stream before I get going with other things. Just got a whole bunch of stuff to wrap up, so it's not like we're on one thing at the minute. Get these off my desk first. So we want to take the transformer and extension port off these. The transformer we can reuse in the PC Engine GTs, so we're going to start keeping them. And the extension ports we obviously need for the re-PCBs. I'll just put a note on these. Transformer. And then I can give them Zach to do so I don't have to. That clears that off. And then one other thing I just want to do before we start is I've been playing Pokemon Emerald last night for I think about 2 hours, and obviously it's still going, so far so good. But I've wrote down the time, so we want to keep track of the battery voltage throughout the gameplay, and this is getting an idea for how long this is going to last on rechargeable AAs, so customers know. So if we bring in the multimeter, we can go on ground and the 2-bat. You see we're at 2.55. We started at almost fully charged, which was 2.9. I'm going to make a log of that. We have, it was 2.89. I didn't quite let it fully charge when we started. So I'll put down 2.89 volt. 2 hours later, it's at 2.55 volt, and then we're going to turn this on and keep it running. So we are at, where's the time? 6:36, so 6:36. We'll start it running again. I'm going to just leave the back cover off because we're going to be measuring the voltage throughout this. So let's just leave that off. And for the settings, of those of you that are going to use this, we have this on here. Let me just check that YouTube stream's actually working, because yeah, so the YouTube stream has, oh yeah, it's kind of working on YouTube. I think it's only just coming up. 9 people in, but it says 0. So I think the YouTube count is wrong, but at least it's working. Right, so on this, what we have is I've got the LEDs, backlit LEDs on. Low brightness is the only way I can really explain it. You just hold the button to change the brightness setting. So I'd say basically low brightness. The clean screen I've got set to in between the R on the brightness, and that's bright enough for me. If you want it brighter, you can turn off pixel grid, and it makes it quite a bit brighter. But I like playing fairly dim because I do actually like it more authentic and original. So that's the settings this is running on. We have a clean amp at this volume, which is, that's maximum. That's obviously off. That's as low as you can hear. I'll probably go it up another quarter of a turn. So probably 25–30% on both brightness and sound. That's how I play. And that's how this battery test has been run. So we're going to just leave that. I'm going to move it out of the way so we don't hear this constantly on stream. But that's going to just stay running while we're on, and we'll measure the battery voltage at the end. So we'll put him all the way over there. And now we shouldn't hear that music going off constantly. And that's basically part of the test before we go into production. Make sure it can fully discharge, the red light comes on, that it lasts as long as we expect. All that good stuff. And then next up, we finished these on stream yesterday. Let's check they still work. The new 1 ASIC re-PCBs. And yep, they're still working. So what we want to do now is, even though they're working on the USB, there is a difference between powering it from the USB and powering it from a power core and from a CleanJuice. So we want to check that all these work and power up correctly. So what we'll do for that is solder these in. Hey, welcome in, Toby. Is it your first time on a stream? We've only been doing it a few weeks ourselves, so and I've got absolutely no schedule whatsoever. I come on mostly at the minute in the mornings because nobody else is up, so it's quite enjoyable when nobody else is there. So these are the pins we're going to solder. Are you remaking the Nintendo? Yeah, I'm remaking the GBA first. It's not crazy high priority compared to a few other products at the minute. So the what's next? The CleanJuice AA that I've just made for the GBA. That is by far the most demanded for all the other consoles. So I'll probably make that pretty much as soon as I can. I'll ideally remake one for the GBC this week if I can, and get the prototypes in. Then we have the Clean Powers, which are the USB-C power boards for consoles. They're just as in demand as well, in a sense. They are quite in demand for Xbox Original and PS1. There's been a lot of talk, people wanting them, and I keep saying I'll do them, and I am working my way through them. So they're probably going to be another one coming up. And then the re-PCB would probably be next, because the re-PCBs are a lot of work, basically. They take up most of the time. They're not a short process. They're a good. I think this one took me like 2.5 full days to make the. God, I've got an itchy nose this morning. They take like about 2.5 days to remake these boards, which is a lot of time for me. And I mean like 2.5 full days, like constant at the computer, probably 9-10 hours of the day. So you're talking like 25 hours to make this board, whereas the CleanJuice AA I can probably remake in about 2 hours. In Burslem, yeah, it's well, can't even tell if it's raining. It's pitch black. Let's get this audio cable on as well. We don't actually need the audio cable for the test. We know the audio will work. It's just audio, but this will be actually built up for a customer. To be honest, this is a production-ready board, so once we've confirmed everything works, this can be used in one of the builds we've got. We've got another couple of clear blue sapphires popping up again. They slowed down a bit, and then they've started picking back up. I think to be honest, we've had a really, really slow week last week. It's just started picking up again yesterday, but yeah, absolutely overnight just drop sales. It happens on and off all the time in the retro business. It just goes from, busy constantly, and then just a week as if you think the internet's dead or something's gone wrong. Yeah, I'll have to do some physics lessons on classes. Right, so they are in, and now what we want to do is, to be honest, this camera's probably better to see what's going on. Maybe zoom in a little bit so we can see. Yeah, it's kind of like a nice, I forget this one's got the zoom. That'll do. Right, so we'll start with the power core. And the reason I'm testing this is because we've made our own crystal that operates the Game Gear, so a little flat crystal here instead of the larger one on the Game Gear, just so you guys don't have to swap them over. But because these have been made for us, we've literally had them manufactured and made. They've got a slight different property than the original, so we have to change the resistors and load capacitors, and because of that, we want to make sure that this crystal works. It won't be a problem with the board or the power boards if it doesn't boot. It's going to be the crystal loading. But hopefully this will boot, because we've done quite a few now and we get them pretty accurate. So there you go, that one's loading as well. So that's the power core, on and off. Yep. Yeah, so that's working. Interestingly as well, have you noticed this, the VA45? Have you seen the Sega screen kind of comes on blue at the start? It like fades from blue and then comes in. That's a way of telling if you've got a VA45, I guess. So that's the power core working, which is obviously this brand new board. I haven't really shown it off yet, but we have our products getting cloned all the time on AliExpress. So we were the first people ever to make a rechargeable or even a power board for Game Gear. Literally the first in the world to do it. I reverse engineered it, discovered how it all worked, open sourced the knowledge, made these boards, and now they're heavily cloned. Some people have designed their own, but we've also got clones in China and things that just literally rip us off. This is a LiPo version. This is one that we used to call the Clean Power, and the Clean Power just provides the power, it doesn't charge, whereas the Clean Juice, hence the name, puts juice in, it charges as well. So we had a Clean Power, and it got ripped off in China, and other people, tons of people started making knockoffs, and it was sold cheaper than ours. So I've re-engineered this circuit. I haven't given away this knowledge this time. So the way I've now made this work with the Game Gear is completely unique to any other way. Nobody's ever done it this way, and I'm not going to give this way away this time. So it's going to be a bit harder to clone. But because of how I've done it, you can see how fewer components there are on the board. And it's so much cheaper to manufacture, you wouldn't believe. So we sell this literally now cheaper than the AliExpress clones. That's basically was one of the goals of this. The power core cuts a few functions away, some minor functions that aren't critical, to keep the cost super low. So if you just wanted to replace the Game Gear power board, you've got a really cheap option, but from somebody you trust, not just from random Chinese knockoffs, basically. So that was the kind of point of why I made this board. We made 2,000 and we've got 200 left a month later. So these are very popular. Luckily, it's probably taken some of that Chinese business away and give us some back. But that's just one of the downsides to giving your knowledge away. Unfortunately, you do get people cloning your work. So it's a double-edged sword, really. I love to give knowledge away, but I also have to try and stay in business at the same time. So it's a fine balance between sharing and not. So now let's try if this works on the Clean Juice. And it does. And you can see the difference in startup time. Turn on, wait, come on. And that's because the Clean Juice has more advanced features. So we've got this delay dial here, so you can change the amount of time before the system boots. So you can see there, you wait a second or two, and it comes on. And you can get a little screwdriver, which is too small for this tub. I need to move it into a different tub, really. And you can basically turn this dial. So there you go, it's getting quicker. Quicker again. And then if you go to the other extreme, I think this way is the longest delay. So look how long that takes to turn on. So this is the longest delay, on, 1. So it's like 1.5 seconds probably. Turn the delay to a minimum, on, and it's on. So that's one of the features of the Clean Juice that you get. And that's mainly to help with people that have problems with like EverDrives that take a while to boot. And we've discovered, well, I've discovered faults on the EverDrives that they won't fix. And I've also discovered that boot up issue has got nothing to do with that delay whatsoever. I've found potentially one of the real causes of the issue on the EverDrive. So I'll probably do that in another stream, but we'll end up removing that delay dial, I think, in future, because it's not actually needed. It doesn't fix the EverDrive's issue. It's actually a different issue altogether. So I think we've tested everything bar having Zach assemble one of these into a full console and playing it for a bit. Boots up fine off these. All the games work. Let's just check SMS work, actually. That's a point. One check I've nearly forgot. And where's Castle of Illusion? Let me just go find that. we go, Zach had nicked it. So, Castle of Illusion is a Master System game inside of a Game Gear cartridge, basically. And these boot up completely different than the other games, so it's important to make sure they work. And there we go, that one works. Otherwise, the screen would be completely off and you wouldn't even see a game. So that's that working as well. So that's everything fully working on these. So I think we can send these into production now. The only bug I found on this one literally was one single bug, which isn't exactly an issue. I added an extra ground pad up here because I normally, what I do is I attach a wire here for my, say, oscilloscope when I'm probing. And then when I get the multimeter and want to check things, I'm looking around this side naturally with my right hand for a ground point. And I'm like, oh, there's no ground points left. So I'll put an extra one here for me, basically. And then the only thing I've realized is I didn't actually connect that to ground. So I put the pad down and forgot to join it. So that's a minor thing I'll do before we send it to production. Other than that, then, these Game Gears are working. Morning, welcome in, Retro AJ. We are just not really scheduled or planned at all this stream. I'm just jumping on and clearing my desk off of stuff that I need to do. So we're testing a GBA, the new Clean Juice AA, seeing how long it lasts. I've just finished testing the 1A6 re-PCBs. They're both working. In fact, this is the old prototype. I'm going to nick this chip off because it works. This is the VA1 that fully works. So there's nothing to do to this. That's literally fully working. Yeah, so that one's ready to go. So we need to put the wires on this one. We need to take the chip off that one. And I've then got I've got one spare board. This is a board that the factory send as a panel, just in case I need to check traces, so unassembled. I don't need to check traces now, so this is officially the only one in the world of the final prototype for the 1ASIC. So maybe I should keep that and give it away to somebody at some point. There's never going to be another one of them made. That is literally the only prototype now before production, and it's untarnished. So I'll keep that somewhere, and then if somebody's really keen on it, we might give that away. So let's just take this chip off first, I guess. This was the first prototype with some issues. You can see the bodge wires here, and we missed a pad here. So this isn't good enough to go to a customer, even though it fully works. I wouldn't send this to a customer. It's not good enough, basically. So we will take this chip off. That was me marking. Can't remember why. I put some marking on it for some reason. But yeah, let's just get this one off. And we know this is a good ASIC as well. So we can. Tell you what, shall we just transplant it over to the one spare board we've got anyway, the final production sample board here. So we've got one left that's ready to go. We might as well make use of him. And then we've got 3 Game Gears then, ready to actually make use of. I'll nick this crystal off as well, actually, first, because we don't have to waste that and chuck that in the bin. Oh yeah, the clean screen for the GBA, it's so under advertised. The problem was that obviously people like Funny Plane, I think, are known, and High Speed Edo quite known, and there's a few others. We're not really that known. We don't, well, partly because I'm crap at advertising, and the other problem will be it's probably the most expensive one because everybody else just uses phone screens, and the cheapest things they can buy to make the product as cheap as they can. So they manage to make and sell theirs for like £40. And the parts that that's disappeared. The parts that make up the GBA clean screen, they literally cost me nearly that much. So our clean screen's like £65–70. But on the plus side is ours is the only one in the world that is original size, completely original to the GBA. If you measure it with a vernier, it's within 0.1 millimeter the original size of the GBA screen, so it's not oversized. So for purists and perfectionists out there, that's ideal for that. I also invented the world's very first color accurate display. So I wrote some custom LUTs inside of the FPGA that edit the color and make it look like the original. So I spent tons of time basically making the clean screen look just like the original. None of the others even look close to that. But unfortunately, not many people advertise us other than myself, and I'm terrible at doing that. So it's not a very well-known screen, but it is the only one in the world that is true to the original, super accurate to OEM, original size. I also added what I call True Motion, which mimics the effects of frame blending. All these things have now been cloned by everybody else. So Funny Plane, literally 3 weeks after I announced it, cloned poorly the True Motion, messed it up and disabled it in firmware and did it 2 months later. Same with the color modes. They literally added the color modes in the exact same order as my screen, but again, messed up the LUT. It's not the same. So people just immediately tried to rip off what we did and then claim they just decided that that was a good thing to add to their screens, even though they hadn't had it for 2 years. That's unfortunately the Game Boy scene is toxic as hell. It's full of people that just steal your work, lie, cheat, and just want to be the kings of that domain. So I don't really advertise in the GBA scene anymore. I just get on with all my other mods and stuff I do, and luckily word of mouth sells all our Game Boys. We still sell every single day Game Boy Prestiges, but we'd sell a hell of a lot more if it wasn't for the way that scene is. Unfortunately, it's basically full of dickheads. It's a simple way of putting it. So we just move on and do everything for every other platform as well. I'll show you the clean screen in a minute. There's a video on YouTube. It's on the homepage of youtube.com/retro6 if you want to see all those features in action. And then we did a laminated one, which I've got in mind, but then it didn't feel right in one way, because the whole point of the clean screen was to be as original as the first one. Laminating the screen is more like a phone screen, but at the time laminated was all the hype, and we were trying to get a bit more recognition, if you will, and a bit more people wanting to buy the screen at the time. So we added the laminated, but most people, like 95% of all sales, chose the non-laminated. So we just dropped the laminated this time around once we ran out of stock, and we don't plan to have it back. I'll probably convert mine back from laminated to non-laminated, because my personal one is laminated at the minute. But yeah, clean screen for GBA is by far, even if I didn't make it, I'd be using that and selling that. That is the best screen for it. And then I'm just going to make, still been trying to get on to making it for a while, but I'll be making the clean screen finally for the GBO, GBC, and GBP soon as well. It's just about getting the spare time. I'm glad I've helped you restore the Game Gears. It's one of the main things I think the wiki is known for, is the Game Gear knowledge. And then now these re-PCBs have taught us a bit more about failures on the A6 as well. So it's a bit more knowledge that we've gained on what happens when things don't load. And it also gives you guys an option now to nice and quickly replace what would be dead Game Gears, or potentially ones you don't want to diagnose for customers, because the time spent diagnosing, you could just buy one of these boards and chuck the chip on. It gives us a whole new set of options as well to keep these things alive. Yeah, there's loads of people that will never credit. It's human nature. They want the praise, basically. I think that because most people that modify the consoles get into it themselves and want to do like little mini businesses from it, it's just natural. People want the praise, basically. They want to be recognized, and unfortunately that leads to people not always telling the truth, and it's just one of them, basically. I'll go grab that GBA as well, so you can take a look at that. So this is the laminated version with my logo. And again, part of this was we got sued by Nintendo. Managed to get out of the lawsuit for not too much money, but basically got sued for trademark infringement, things like Game Boy Advanced. So we removed it as much as possible. There's a whole thing called right to restore that should protect you, but doesn't always. So our laminated ones, we put our logo on, and we kind of do want to start pushing our brand more so than Nintendo. I know it's not as original, and people love the original, but there's also lawsuits that you have to be careful of. So this is the clean screen, completely original size. If you have the non-laminated, we've probably got them being built, have we? No, again, every time we go on stream, they've all been shipped out yesterday. If you get the original, it comes with a Game Boy Advanced logo, so you don't have to have ours for the clean screens you buy now. But you can see it's exactly the same size as the original. Visually, you can turn the brightness right down. So I've made it a really dim one. So if you're playing in pitch black, I wanted it where you could have a nice, really low brightness mode, which is that. You can go obviously all the way up to super bright. But we are doing a battery test on this at the minute, so we don't want to mess with the test too much. Color modes, this is where I'll show you. This is the one I'm on about. This is the true color. So this looks just like the original screen. This is what every single other IPS on the market used to look like, and would unless they didn't clone our view. So this is what the IPS panels will look like with no modification. See how green the grass is? Well, that's because the old screens were not very good at reproducing green. So I made a LUT built into this that corrects them greens, and this is then what they look like. First ever in the world to do that. And this is another reason why I wanted the clean screen to be so good. It was none of the other screens were very good. So that's the color modes. And then you'll laugh now, because if you look at Funny Plane and even High Speedo, they've got a color mode now where they have these 4 options that I made up. So I've got the color mode I invented to match the original. Nothing changed, so that's raw IPS. Black and white like the original Game Boy Pocket, and DMG. So I literally made them modes up. They've now cloned them 4 modes and added them to their screens. So it's literally exactly 1 for 1. We've then got True Motion, which you can only really see on like Zelda games, where you'll get flickering between sprites. So True Motion, when it's on, blends every other frame together, so you don't get that flickering. And again, acts more like the original screen. Screen alignment, you can obviously move the screen to position it left and right based on your lens. Pixel grid, turn it off, looks brighter, and you probably have to really zoom in to see this, but we know we can because we did it yesterday. Full focus on that. There we go. So you can see no pixel grid, so this is just the focus of the camera, seeing the actual pixels inside the screen. So I'll slightly defocus it maybe. There, so I'll slightly defocus the lens. You're not going to see the actual pixels of the screen. And if we go to pixel grid, that's the vertical pixels. That's the horizontal. And these aren't just black lines. These are, again, blended with a special LUT to mix the colors. And that's a pixel grid. And you can see it's also integer scaled pixel perfect pixel grid. So every single individual pixel has a line on. Again, I know I keep saying this on this one, but this was the world's first to do that, to have integer scaled pixel perfect reproduction. So this setup as it is looks the closest to the original screen you can get by a country mile. None of the other screen kits out there do that. But this is the most expensive screen kit on the market. So that's kind of one of the things. So we don't sell tons of these compared to other products because they are naturally expensive. Now, I am working on a way to try and reduce the cost, but we don't want to sacrifice the quality. This is all about being the best screen. So this is one we don't want to cut corners on. So unfortunately, this one is currently the price it is, but it might come down in future if we can order larger batches. But you imagine buying these, they cost us, I think, close to £30 or £40 in parts to make this kit. And we order minimum 500 at a time and normally 1,000. So you imagine that for a bill. You're talking £20,000 to £40,000 to stock one item out of hundreds that we have. So it's very hard to keep this in stock, but we've managed since we released it because it's one of my favorite key products. I don't want to ever not have to be able to sell this. But yeah, if you like that, definitely spread the word because it's not known very well compared to the other screens, and it's the best screen by far in my opinion. and we're just running a battery drain test on that for obviously see how long the new product underneath it lasts, the Clean Juice AA. So that's why I've moved that out of the way so you don't listen to that game playing for hours. Hey, thanks. Welcome in from New Zealand. Didn't notice. I have to keep an eye on two chats left and right, the TikTok and then everybody else on the other side. Yeah, replacement screens. If you go to retro6.co.uk, mods and parts, and then Game Boy Advance, you can find the screen. Yeah, that's Pokemon Emerald. It's real. It's not a copy. I've got every... in fact, I haven't actually got every Pokemon. I'm starting to play through them now. I played the Yellow... is this one done? Yeah. I played Yellow, Red, Blue, and Gold in... Well, played Yellow, Red, Blue as a kid, and then Gold in Japanese, because it wasn't even out over here at the time when I was playing it as a kid. And then I never really played anymore after that, once I grew up and carried on with other things. So I'm going back now and playing all the Pokemon's complete run-throughs. So this is actually the first time I've played Emerald, believe it or not. And that's me next on the list. And then I've seen Sapphire on the GBA. We were doing a battery swap for a customer yesterday, and I had to quickly find a daycare centre. That's a clone they sent in, unfortunately. So it's very common to have clone Game Boy games now, especially Pokemon's. But I just thought the game was really nice looking. It's some of the newer ones they haven't got much nostalgia for me because they don't look like, you know, Yellow, Blue, Red, and Gold. But the Sapphire, I was surprised it still looks very much like the original generation. So I'm really excited to get to play that as well. I didn't realise that it was. I thought all the ones after Emerald were just the whole semi 3D style, which I'm not that into. I can't get into at the minute. I didn't study anything. I'm completely self-taught. So all the soldering, all the hardware, engineering, electronics, software, everything I do just self-taught. I just literally figure it out. Bit of Googling, get you started on generally how you pick up a soldering iron or what solder is. Buy parts, read data sheets, mess with it. Literally just build your knowledge up gradually. It's no formal education whatsoever. And most of the stuff I learn that isn't blatantly obvious is stuff I've figured out myself, basically. I've done it since I was very young. I've been self-taught in everything. Just the way my mind works, basically. I think I've always had to rely on my own skills from very young, I guess, to figure things out. There was nobody there when computers were about, like the early days of PCs and things. I wanted to program them, fix them, do things up, and I was doing like C++ programming at 10, and I had nobody to ask for answers, and I really wanted to learn stuff, so I had to figure it out myself. It was just brute force and many hours as a kid playing with computers, and I figured stuff out. And then I think ever since then, once the brain had been wired that way from sort of 10 years old, I just carried on into adulthood. And now anything I look at all in any profession, I just look at it like, yeah, I could do it if I want, and if I want to do it, I end up doing it. I don't look at anything really as a something I couldn't do. I don't go into anything with the mentality I couldn't do it. And I think that's one of your biggest benefits. If you go in with confidence and you don't give up, then yeah, you can pretty much do anything, I'd say. Retro6.co.uk. No, I've been bed. I go to bed every night. Very rarely now do I stay up through the night. I'm just up nice and early. Bit later. I wasn't up late today. I just didn't bother jumping on stream for a little bit. I was setting up some stuff I needed to do. So it's the only reason I'm on now. I'd normally come on if I'm going to come on in the morning, I normally jump on 5:30 to 6 o'clock in the morning. All right, I think we haven't forgot anything. The only problem is I can't remember which one we already tested, so we'll have to test both again, which is no problem. That was just, yeah, let's retest both. So he's done. We will nick. Actually, let's leave him in. So he's a fully built one that Zach can have now. Which we've got a tough pull in here, to be honest. We've got 2 more of these. How much would you need to begin? Begin what? Have I missed part of a combo, maybe? Beginning like this kind of line of work, or soldering, or what are we talking there? Because sometimes the chat misses parts of conversations as well. It doesn't always log everything people say. Ah, yeah, Amigas. I have 4 of them to do. I've just sold an Amiga 1200 maxed out. Wasn't really in the mood for building that at the time. Everything of that build wasn't there at all. So I had to buy everything back in. I ran out of the Pi Storms, then I'd ran out of BIOS chips, then I'd ran out of other things, then my 3D printer messed up, so that was a pain. As soon as I finished the 1200, we sold another maxed out 1200. Then I've got then 2 500s in for repair. So we've got 1 500 here that we've got to fix up. So I could stream this. It's probably next up on the list, to be honest. Doesn't even fit on camera, it's that big. And then, as well as that one, I'm pretty sure if we spun this around, that's lost focus on me. On find and track me again. I'm pretty sure this giant box here is also another 500 because nothing else is due in that big. So we've probably got another 500 in for repair there as well. And then we've got another customer talking to us about sending, I think it's a 1200 in for, we're probably going to put the Amiga. Have you played the Amiga Game Selector? Or I say played it, have you installed that on the hard drive? The customer pretty much just wants to play his original games on his original console, but he doesn't want to bother with floppies. So I've recommended to him really the Amiga Game Selector setup, and either Compact Flash or Pi Storm, depending on budget and things. But I think, to be honest, if you're going to go down the route of playing off the hard drive, then you've either got to pay for a Compact Flash or the conversion. It's going to be hard to get on and off the Compact Flash without them moving the flash to the side of the board and doing adapters. So I've said to him, it's probably easier to just chuck in a Pi Storm, so you have the SD card you can chuck games on, and everything's built in. Even if he doesn't want the extra speed, you can get, for a very similar price, all of those things kind of baked in. Yeah, 600s I've got loads of. I personally like the 600s, my favourite to work on. I've got about 5 now, which I really need to mod up and sell. I shouldn't have that many. I buy a load of them when I first learn about them, so I can figure them out, basically. Yeah, Pokemon Emerald's gone up ridiculous in money. I used to buy them in all the time and sell them, and every single week I'd be selling them. Then I'd have to look at the price, and the price had gone up £40, so then I'd buy another one in, and by the time people were coming to me to buy them, because we were selling them cheaper than anywhere else, basically, because by the time I'd brought them and sold them for £40, they'd gone up by £80. So I wished I'd have kept a better quality one, because I had some mint condition, complete and boxed. Well, I'll say some, we had tons. Sold them all now, and I bet now complete and boxed are what, £200-300. Last time I was selling them, they were £140 complete and box. That was a couple of years ago now. And I think now the loose carts are like, I bet the loose carts are 100 now. Which I don't get either. I don't get why Emerald has become the de facto really expensive one out of all the other games. Right, so this one is either the one that already worked and it doesn't matter, or it's the new one and it now works. Therefore, we have another working one. So we press the reset button. Now, so either this one is the new one that doesn't work, or yeah, so let's try Where's the other game slot gone? There. Oh, this is also that game, that Sonic 2, if you remember. That can be a bit dodgy. Let's just try the other game first. That Sonic 2 is the one that can be a bit dicey on the cartridge port. It needs a clean and a service. To simple modern repair, you need probably, well, you'll need to be honest, you need a soldering iron, solder and flux is your absolute bare minimum. Nice to haves are silicone mats off Amazon. A multimeter, but you can get cheap ones that do the job. So I'd say probably, well, that's a weird one. Yeah, this one is probably going to be some poor soldering then. I think there's a pin floating over there. Yeah, I'd say you probably want, realistically, I'd say you want £200, so you're not really over budgeting. But focus most of your money on your soldering iron. There's a pin floating in midair down there. That won't help. So, bit of flux. Hearing Pokemon Emerald in the background's making me want to just go and play and not work in the morning. I had to start it again as well because I played Emerald, started it, and then went on holiday and ended up reading a load of books while I was away, and then come back and kind of forgot what I'd even done at the start, so I just started it again last night. But then I got distracted by my VR headset thing and ended up playing Resident Evil 2 on VR again. Absolutely loving that at the minute. The remade Resident Evil 2. So good. Although I did run out of bullets and I absolutely shit myself and was running around like a girl screaming, and I'd got my head under a cover to block out all the light and I'm wriggling under the cover, just crapping myself at zombies chasing me because they're a lot more energetic in the remake, I noticed. And I haven't come to the liquor yet, so I know obviously in the Resident Evil 2 you come through the door in the hall pretty much near the start and you face the liquor. So you come there and there's the body on the floor with his head mashed, and you know that's the liquor, and then there's the body hanging from the ceiling and you're waiting for it to come, and it still hasn't come, and now I just keep hearing creeps and noises, and I'm literally going around scared like I was as a kid playing Resident Evil 2. It's so good. That's the whole pleasure, in a sense, of Resident Evil 2, or all the Resident Evil games. That's what I like about them, the genuine fear, like you are genuinely scared of losing your save and dying and going back, and you've not got any ammo and stuff. That is the thrill of that game. That's, I think, for me, that's the only reason to play Resident Evil. If you remove that from, like, some of the games, I think it was Resident Evil 6 on PlayStation, to me, yeah, it's a good game, but it's not Resident Evil. It's pointless. There's no fear. It was too easy and there was no lack of ammo and stuff like that. Yeah, this one doesn't want to boot. So it would help if I remembered which one was the one that was working yesterday. Let's just double check we're not getting audio. No. I mean, this is a new game slot as well, so we aren't using a known good one, but... yeah, so I think on this one then, let's presume this is the other one we just swapped over. Which we thought worked. And let's move over to this one, which I think is the one that was working. Obviously, one of these was working. We just built another one, and then I've mixed the two up. So let's just prove if this is the working one. I don't really need the screen plugged into this one if it works, because we know this was the working one. If so, we just need to hear the game. The VR headset is the X-Real. Yeah, that's the working one. The X-Real Air 2, I think it is. So not AR, just pure VR. But the only downside with them is when you play Resident Evil, I want to be completely surrounded in black. So I just put like a hood over my head, like I've brought a little woman's fluffy headscarf thing, and I just put it on backwards to cover all the light. But then I overheated it last night because my head was covered. And the VR headset at the side was literally nearly on fire on the side of my head, I thought it was just a game and me panicking and getting all hot and flustered. And then when the screen flicked off, I lifted up and this was literally on fire on the side of my head. So I realised it was real. My head was burning. But no, I really enjoyed it. It's only overheated because I covered it with a big fluffy headscarf, so there was no, like the fan couldn't blow any of the air out, basically. So it was my doing. I was trying to be immersive in the game. This all looks okay. Let's reflow it. I've probably done a crap job at reflowing it and not paying attention. We've got the crystal on. We've got everything else on. There's also a chance. I was going to say because this has been hand assembled, but I don't think this sample has been hand assembled, so this should work. And this is the chip we've just taken off the other prototype, and it was a working chip, so we know it's a working chip. So I can only imagine I've messed up this reflow, even though under the scope it looks fine. I'm just going to reflow it. Can I teach you? We can. Funnily enough, I'm mentioning it on and off the streams. I'm probably going to do some kind of subscription on like YouTube and Twitch if you just sub to the channel and pay whatever it is. I think I have to set it up first, pay a certain amount each month, and then I'll probably do some streams where I'm dedicated to just teaching people, or, you know, a sub-only stream in a sense, so there's less people in and we focus on teaching you how to start with things like soldering and then learn you how to repair things and then learn you how to design hardware. I've just got to first see if I can keep the time free to be able to dedicate to that. So obviously I'm jumping on streams most days, but we'd probably have to have some kind of schedule to be able to do a kind of paid thing. People wouldn't want me just randomly jumping on if they're paying for something. That's definitely now on correct. All the pins are lined up. That's had a good reflow, and I was paying attention this time. If this doesn't work, I'm not sure. Maybe we've got a fault on the board, but we know the chip's good. We've seen the chip working, so I'm hoping it's just been this is the issue on this one. On a train down to London. See, I love the train. I actually enjoy the train. The only problem now is the trains are boiling. They don't put aircon in them anymore, really, I find. So that you're always hot. But I love a nice train where you've got the service, which you also don't get anymore, at least not from Stoke, coming around with the drinks, and as long as it's cool, I could travel for 10 hours on a train. I love it. Top right pins are overlapping because they're actually meant to be. So these top right two and these bottom left two are, let me tell you what they actually are, because obviously I can pull up the PCB. I don't know the ground or power. Might as well tell you specifically what they are. Top right is ground, bottom left is... actually, bottom left shouldn't be joined. We left that joined on one of them. The bottom left, yes, as in the left side of the bottom left is ground also, but let me just double check that, because I'm sure I said yesterday on stream this was, I thought these two were joined. They're not actually meant to be joined. It's these two that are meant to be joined. So actually this is a problem here. But I'm sure that was on the other one yesterday. I'm sure we've literally done that on one that worked yesterday, and that's actually A0 for the data pin, so that will not work. And the pin is slightly bent. That's probably why it's sat out. Where's my little bendy tweezers? They've snapped. There's my other bendy tweezers. I've got too many things in my little tub now. Take them out, that can be a spare. Right, so this little pin here, I'm going to get a tweezer like this that I bend on purpose. hook it into here and warm up near the bottom. So you can basically melt the solder, and then you should be able to pull the leg slightly out. So that's now aligned it up, pull the extra flux off, the extra solder. But yeah, I knew there was a pin at the bottom. It's them two that are joined, the two ground pads. But I'm sure yesterday we'd got one of them joined. That's meant to be joined, those two are ground. So they're the two that are, joined. That pin, let's check. Got no depth perception on camera, but yeah, that's solid, doesn't move. So it'll have been that pin down there. It was physically bent slightly. That's probably when I'm going under with my tweezers down here to grab this. I've probably nudged that. So that's probably why. So good catch there. I think one of you spotted that. But I will check, even though the other ones are working, I will check that, because I swear blind that exact bottom left pin was already shorted on another board yesterday. That's why I didn't even question it, because I'd still got it fresh in my head from yesterday that was the case. What have I done with them? One in here. Where are the boards? Got one here, one here. Should be a third one. There, so the third one is okay. It's not that one. The second one is okay. No, I must have been dreaming. It must have been the other pen. So obviously, no, they're not shorted on the other one there, which obviously makes sense, because I wouldn't understand how it's working if so. Right, let's see if now this works, which I presume it will. Yeah, no, wicked. They're still the same. Strange, and this was definitely working. Okay, let me get the actual microscope then. Let me look at this properly. Go down it and push every single pin, and let's make sure this is all on. But I know I've just done it twice and it doesn't normally ever not work. I'm just going to physically hand push every single pin on this chip. And just so you see, I need to do this under the scope because I need depth perception. But just so you see what I'm doing, if you want to check it yourself, I'm basically going through every single pin with a set of tweezers and going even further, and I'm physically pushing on the bottom of the pin like this to see if the leg bends. And I'm applying quite a bit of force, not crazy amounts, but enough that the pin would bend, basically. And that's how I'm really checking that they're soldered well. And then at the same time, I'm also observing every single pin one at a time to make sure that they're soldered well and there's no shorts. Like, I'm looking at the pin as I'm pushing them. But you can see these are all, you can visibly see the fine soldered so far. So I almost definitely think I'm going to find a pin. That's not right, because the only thing that could be wrong on this realistically is that something wrong with the PCB, like one out of these three is faulty, or there'd be a pin bad. That one slightly moved. It didn't move enough though. I don't think it's soldered, but I'm just gonna redo that. We could also have a bad cartridge connector actually. We could swap that out. Yep, those are fine. One more row, and then if these are all good, I'm probably going to have to check the cartridge connector. I'm highly suspicious of the ASIC because it's been on the other prototype working fine, so I cannot see it being that. Basically, that's the most unlikely cause that's just randomly died swapping it over. It almost never happens. Now all them pins are good. So let me inspect the cartridge connector. do the same thing on the cartridge connector. I'm just going to nudge all the pins, because these have been known in the past to not be soldered on well on an early run of the game slots. No, they're all good. So soldering, as we expected, is perfectly fine. A nice bit of chat spam again. Thanks, James. Glad you like the Game Gear. Right, so let's probably start with servicing this game, because this is on and off. Is that the right size? No. Where do I put the other one? I can never remember where my other game slot one is. There we go. Game bit. I'm going to service this game then first, just to rule out some potential causes, although unlikely. So if you want to service a game, you'll need a game bit. This is a game bit 3.8, which is specific for these little screws, basically. And then they slide, I think it's forward or back. So they'd slide down typically, but they're quite things. So you can just lift the clips off for the first time because they'll be stuck on these clips. But you'll sometimes find these will slide nicely up and down, not just clip. Oh, so these are clip only ones. Maybe it's the third party ones that are slide. Oh, it's ours, I think. I think the ones we used to remake slide. These have just got clips to lift up. And then we're going to get to this. And do I have the pencil eraser lying around anywhere? Or have I lost that as well? Yeah, it's over here. And then we're going to rub these pins clean with a bog standard pencil eraser. It's just basically a light abrasive that rubs, physically removes tarnish from the top. And then we'll get some IPA. And this will be a degreaser to remove then any grease and the remainders of that pencil eraser. You can go further than that. You could do, you could replate it. You could nickel plate it, then gold plate it if you really wanted to go extreme. You could use, some people in America use deoxit. I've never seen it over here, but basically aimed at getting rid of oxides on the layer. But gold isn't tarnishable. That's one of the properties of gold. So in theory, just rubbing the surface tarnish off should be more than enough, unless you've lost your gold if it's been corroded. So it's normally a cleaner's more than enough. So let's see if just a simple clean works. Then if not, we'll try the other game slot. And then probably failing that, I might swap the ASIC if not, because I've got a suspicion. Yeah, it's doing the same exact constant thing, which is, oh, hang on, is it going to be something as daft as this ribbon? I've seen it before where this ribbon can slightly short things. So let's just do a quick test. Let's disconnect the clean screen and we'll power this from listening for audio, ignoring the screen. Yeah, thought so. So it's working, and now I've pressed reset, it stopped. I've got a feeling that's the crystal, the thing I was on about, because that took way too long to boot. But didn't we have, I wonder if this is the one from yesterday, the one that has got a little bit of intermittent boot. Because I do know if you slightly put these ribbons in sideways, it can cause issues. Or if it is the crystal, the simple extra load of the screen can actually stop it booting. So I've got a slight suspicion this might be the crystal. But we're not getting screen. Like, that's not right. So we've either got a bad ASIC and this is the other one. Is there any way we can identify which one I did this morning? I guess we could look back on stream to figure out whether I'm working on the one that we know fully worked, or mind you, they both fully worked, didn't they? We tested one, so that doesn't really help. Let's just take a look at the connector here, see if there's a fault on the connector. Obviously you can't see because got a nice big head in the way, but I'm just going to have a look at this connector. I'm not 100% happy that's on solid. I know they always look a bit dicey, these tiny connectors, but let's see if I can show you on the camera. We'll try reflowing this. If not, I'm not overly fussed about this one. We've got all the others working, so we know the boards work. We've done 3 other prototypes before this, and then this is minor changes. So whatever issue this is, I don't think it's going to affect production. Just be nice to get working. So you can't really tell, it's too small there to really see, but those pins I'm going to reflow because I'm not super happy with, basically. They don't look the best, and maybe that's all the issue is, that the ribbon connector isn't working exact. And we've used this screen on another one, so shouldn't be a screen issue. That's it. So now we just need to tidy this last pin up. There we go. So that's that reflowed. Let's see what that gives us. Oh, I forgot to change camera angle. You just stared at a white screen for a few minutes. Now do we get anything on screen? Let's see. Nope, and I've also wet the screen with IPA. So that's what happens if you get IPA in the screen, but it's not a problem because this is my test one. Swap the clean screen quickly and the ribbons at the same time. Let's just double check it's not the clean screen, but I'm sure it isn't. That is 4. That's another one. Oh, actually, that is one we can use. So here's the other prototype. Yep, fixing a, well, we're not necessarily fixing the Game Gear. We were testing prototypes and they all worked fine, but then I decided to just use the last one of the prototypes I've got left lying around out of the 3. Put on a chip we know works and it doesn't work, so I've gone down a bit of a tiny rabbit hole here to have a look at it. It's not that vital that we fix it, because we could just have a bad board here. But we've got audio and the screen's glitchy, which can be ASIC, like on the 2 ASICs. Could be the VDP. But I've got a feeling it wouldn't be the ASIC, because we took it off the earlier prototypes we made and it was working. Or maybe we never tested it with a screen on the earlier one and it's just a bad ASIC. I do that every time I connect this up and then forget to lift the screen out of the way so we can see. There we go. Yeah, Screwtails. He's an idiot anyway. Then. So another working clean screen, so we know if it's that or not. No, so it's going to be, I think maybe it's just a bad ASIC. So sorry, let's just get another one, chuck an ASIC on. And it takes a few minutes. But I'm sure this ASIC was working, but obviously it come off this board, the last prototype. Maybe we never plugged a screen in and we just heard audio and went, oh, that one's working. That might well have been what happened, basically. And if it wasn't a known working ASIC, my very first suspicion would be the ASIC anyway. In this instance, it would literally be the only place I'd go to. It's only because I thought it was fully working. I'm questioning that, basically. So I'll just hot air this off. I've also got to slog my way through 12 of these because I brought them and they're disgusting. But I brought 12, so I've got to get through them. Sparkling water. Not nice at all. PSPs, no, don't fix them. Don't like them. Well, I do like the consoles. Don't like fixing them. Basically, they're almost always the power management ICs that fail, or the DC jacks, or the batteries, and they're almost always a no fixing away because nearly all the time it's the PMIC circuits that fail and you can't buy them, and I don't want to invent something for them. But yeah, they're a really nice console to play. I just don't like fixing them. Anything from Sony after the PlayStation 1 is not enjoyable to fix, to be honest. Now we can take this one off. Yeah, these will be available on the US store pretty much a week or so after we have them. They'll order them pretty much straight away. So we've been here before. Let's put another ASIC on. And then if it is bad, we'll start making notes of the bad ASICs again, just like we do with the two ASICs. I'll make note of the full product code and number on it and what visually happened, so that if we start seeing, again, common problems, we can kind of identify them. You know what I'm thinking that might actually be? The only difference... Oh no, because we added the resistor. I was going to say there's a slight difference in the previous prototype, but it's actually, the difference is I just moved the resistor from floating on a wire to being on the board, so it's actually not a difference. And that's only a VA45 thing, so there is actually no difference between the board. We took this off that was working and this board, really. I mean, I suppose we did short A0 to ground, but that's very rarely going to actually damage the chip. It'd just keep it low. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about this one. If it is this, then maybe it's just died, being swapped over twice. Or, like I say, the most logical thing is I tested this in the other prototype without a screen. So it works exactly as it's always worked, which is you can hear the game, you just can't see anything on screen. So I'd say that is the only thing that makes complete sense at the minute. So that's the bad one. Now we'll give this a second to cool off enough to clean, and looks like there's enough solder on them pads. We just need some fresh flux. Yeah, I think anything Sony-wise is... I never like their engineering from a repair standpoint. That's nice clean pads. We've got a tiny short there, which we'll probably just remove at the bottom before we flow something on. Yeah, close enough, because that's going to get reflowed anyway. And now for the chip. So we want the chip to go down with the writing facing up. So this is different than what it comes off the board. And then we want to align this ideally within a pin space, because otherwise we get a load of shorts we have to wipe off with the soldering iron. It's not that bad, but saves us a bit of work if we can align it enough. And to be honest, I can't really see that these pins are that fine. So that's close enough. That's close enough. That bottom one's off by a pin. And now the top one is off by a pin. So I'd say that's as close as we're going to get, and that looks like it's going to be good enough. And then we'll put some extra flux on. Feeling flux happy today. That's it. And then away we go. No, nobody's brought me company. I own all of it. You might be getting confused with Retro 6 US. We've opened an official store, and I work with a guy, you'll know him as Crossface Gaming on TikTok. He repairs consoles. I've known him for years on there, like casually. And I trusted him enough that we opened a US store. So I own all the rights to everything. Like I own and trademark Retro 6, but we opened an official US store that he runs 100% himself, with my permission, in a sense, to use the Retro 6 trade name. And it's aimed at giving the US customers a good experience to buy from us locally. So it's a US run company, Retro 6 US. And that company isn't owned by me, because obviously the whole point is I'm allowing him to use my trademarks and branding. But no, it's not. That is, you might as well think of the US company as one and the same to us, effectively just run over there, but by somebody that's actually in America to serve you properly as a true local, in a sense. But no, Retro 6 is all me, in terms of I'm the guy that made it, created it, does it, writes the wiki, makes the products, all that kind of stuff. That is me. Basically, there's nobody else. Preheater, no, not on boards like this. You'd only really need preheaters on laptop BGA work or something like that. Otherwise, these chips can handle the heat. They can handle far more heat than we're giving them. No problem. You can see all them joins. We've got tons of little joins again, so we're going to have to run around with the iron. So there's no point in me clearing that up at the minute. Flux, we're going to have to chuck a bit more flux on, run the iron around all them shorts, because usually when these shorts happen, they go on every single pin. You just have to run down and clear the extra flux off. I could probably, God, these legs are so delicate though on these. I hate the one chips for that. You can't apply any pressure to the pins. I've just bent one pin, just rubbing the iron down gently. It's bending back into position. Yeah, I could possibly reduce the width of the pads on this footprint, maybe, to slightly help with stopping these joints happening. I might do that. Thing is, I'm risking then. No, I won't do it for this run. Otherwise, I'm risking changing a critical part of the design without testing it. Whereas this works, it's just sometimes you get these shorts that all break down. They come off really easy. You just flux in an iron. So I don't know why I'm doing it with the scope on this one. This is easy enough to show you without that, to be honest. You saw it yesterday for those that joined in, but see how once you get a short, it seems to just go all over. So you can see there, you've got shorts all the way down. All you need to do is get an iron. Do not push and drag hard. You bend the pins just really lightly, as light as you can go. Just run the iron down. You can feel it almost catching the pins as well. So just, I think running it down the top works better there, the top of the legs. And then when you get to the end, you'll get a ball. And this, you just clean the iron. We've also got one there still. You clean the iron tip off, drag it on. Looks like you've done nothing. Clean the tip off again. Go back on. And just do this a few times. And you're slowly removing a tiny bit of solder each time. Until it then just magically disappears like that. So not that hard to do. But yeah, I've only done a handful of these at the minute. The ASIC swaps on the one ASICs, obviously. So one thing I can tell you straight away is apply the absolute minimal force you can with the iron. If you're going to use soldering iron on this, be very, very gentle with your force, because these pins bend crazy easy. So going gentle is key on these. And then what I might do is I'll get these into production, but then I might get, that looks like a slight bent pin as well. Let me look under the scope at that. Can't tell that much solder on there. Let me just wick the whole lot off and do that again. Maybe it is. Oh, they're the two pins, aren't they, that join? I'm being an idiot. They're them two ground pins that are meant to be joined. That's why they're not coming apart. Yeah, so I'll probably get this one into production, then make another sample with thinner pads on them pins to try and help prevent that kind of solder flowing over. But I'm not going to adjust the pads at this stage of the production when it works. It's just something that I think we can improve. I think there's a little short up there. But I'll probably get better at doing these anyway, like I did with the 2A6, I think. I'll find a bit more skill in putting these on and not getting shorts. It could just be more about making sure your initial alignment is better. Although that wasn't far off, it did move a little bit. And I wasn't that fussed, because on the 2A6 you can move the boards about. And it's not really a problem. Whereas on the 1A6 it seems very picky about the position being right. So that took a lot longer than I thought. It was meant to be a few minutes to do that. Let's warm this up and clean it up, and then see if that's working. Right, what do we reckon? Going to work, not going to work, or are we going to have the exact same screen issue? If we have the screen issue, then I'm going to suspect a resistor bad on this board, potentially, like one of the pre-installed resistors. Yeah, nice. Have you gone for a re-PCB, I presume, on the... It's a fairly common issue on the 1 and 2 pads, where the 4 layers of the original Game Gear... that camera's out of focus. On camera, focus. Yeah, the original Game Gear's got 4 layers, and pressing in can short internal grounds to other places and cause it to reset, because that's where it's getting the most flex when you're playing. This is a remade Game Gear. So it's an original Game Gear CPU, if you will. It's called an ASIC. And it's a remade PCB that I've made and a screen that I've made. Oh, reset. This is not going well, is it? So maybe we have a faulty actual board here. There's the potential there. Because we're not even seeing... See, this is strange because we're not getting screen again. I've got a feeling it's probably just one of these connectors. Oh, this hasn't booted. There we go. The clean screen hadn't quite booted properly. Like the orange light hasn't come on. So it was a bad ASIC then, which means I think the obvious thing is this will have been the chip that was on the old prototype that we only checked with audio. That's the only thing I can think of. So this one's just faulty. So those scrolling purple lines, I'll take a screenshot from the stream and put it on the wiki to look out for. But that's now Sonic all working. So let's try and have a quick test. Upside down Sonic. You guys just get used to playing Sonic upside down. So we've only got the left and right, well, the jump and the left that we can test upside down. But yeah, that's pause working. And the jump working. Reset. Reset works fine. Again, this trademark screen on these new boards, if you want to bypass that blue screen and go straight to the Sega, so when you reset, instead of seeing that, you can just bridge this TMSS pin here. So we've got this tiny one here, which is the trademark screen. This bypasses it. So if we lob a little bit of solder over that, then that's now going to bypass that blue screen. And if we zoom out and plug in now, reset. Oh yeah, we've definitely got a, it's the, sorry, clean screen again. Because I'm using the debug USB, not a clean power supply. Let's use an actual power core. The clean screen can fail to boot sometimes, so if you don't see the orange light there, then your clean screen isn't booting, basically. But that wasn't the issue we had on the last one. There we go, so that comes on there. And that boots every time, so on and off, and you can see now you don't get that blue screen in between power-ons, you just get it fading straight to Sega. Nice, yeah, I'll get you that. I'll probably, if you've got your order number and you want me to stream it, I can do it on stream for you if you want. I could probably do it later today, to be honest, bump you up the list if it's already here. We've got a full kit for Game Gear, no sound, no image, clean screen for you. Best for that, you're best jumping on discord.gg/retro6 and posting like images of your install and stuff so we can see. We really need to see what's going on to know the problem, basically, with that. So this one's good, isn't it? We've got another good one. So that can be all left like that. So we now got a tub full of working Game Gears. My test board. So I think that's going to go into production today then. I don't think there's anything left to fix or do on that. That goes up there. Game Gear games in the back of there. Give the desk a quick clean. And then we might as well, I suppose, do a little bit more of these transistors. We've got to swap a few more of these over, so we might as well tackle that. I'm just going to grab a coffee first, though, so let's get that on screen. Where do we go? People can see that, can't they? Back in 5 coffee. There we go. So I'm just going to make a coffee. Back in a second. And we're back. Right then, what we are going to do is carry on a little bit. Got another half hour. So I'm going to get a drink. Ignore the fact I've got a drink. I'm going to get another drink in half an hour. This is another re-PCB. So this is the original PC Engine GT. This is the one I've remade. And we've transferred nearly everything over now. Taken absolutely decades to do this. Aged 2 years in between. We're nearly finished. We've got some transistors to do. And the reason it's taking so long is we're identifying every single component as we go. So we're putting it through a little component tester, finding out what they are, and filling out a bill of materials so we know what all the components are. So let me just actually open that up. Where I moved it to safety. Where did I move it to? PC Engine. Where is it? Helps if I know my alphabet. NOPP's there. Resources. There we go. PC Engine GT BOM. Right, so we have now this bill of materials here with all the components on the whole board identified. So we know every single component on the board. That's what's taking the time. Well, I say every single component. There's the odd few that we need to go back and revisit. But that's where we're at. Now what we want to do is test these few that are left. So we've got this big one here. We're going to leave today because I've only got half an hour. I'm not going to do the 5-pin and 6-pin ones because they might be a little bit trickier. These are likely just 2 transistors, fairly easy to figure out. In fact, I think that says 5H, so that's likely going to be the exact same thing as the other 5H. But the 5R and 9R are likely 2 variants. But we'll do, well, to be honest, there's only a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's only 4 that haven't got the extra pins. So let's just start anyway. Let's basically get these off and identify them. These can't, to be honest, thinking about it, yeah, these should be fine. I know sometimes these, especially on the Atari Lynx, these BJTs can go bad just hot airing them off. Yeah, I've seen that Lego stuff popping up. There's quite a few people that want to do it. I haven't actually got that one. I've got loads of Lego. I've just built the Atari 2600 Lego. Well, I'm on the last bag. I was building that over the weekend. So I'll finish it probably today, to be honest. But yeah, that'd be quite cool. Making it playing a game. It's not really that hard, but it's a fun project for people. I think it's more just it gets people recognised. It's something for the media to talk about. It's not that practical, but it is cool. Just fun thing to do, putting stuff inside a Lego and making it work. It's been around for ages. Right, so all we need to do for this now, it's 3 pins. So the back tab is the same as the middle. You got the outer 2. When I'm identifying chips, I always go left to right. So pin 1, pin 2, pin 3. So when I'm writing down what the pins are in the Excel spreadsheet, I just literally write down pin 1, 2, and 3. I don't need to describe the chip. As long as I know naturally what I would call pin 1, 2, and 3. That's all we need. So just tack these pins on. Pin 1. Pin 2, I could go to a little tab there. Yeah. These are the driest joints ever. Not good solder joints, but it's purely just tacking it on to run the test, so that doesn't matter. So those 3 legs are on. We turn this on. It's probably a NPN BJT. It's a PNP. Oh yeah, of course it is. It's for the 9-volt to 5-volt conversion. Should have known that. So this is designator Q502 on the board. So if we look where it goes, it says Q502. So that's Q502. And it is a PNP BJT. Pin 1 equals, and now pin 1 is black base. And we've already got this on the wiki. We already know the pin out to this. So we can double check it against that. This is one of the chips I've already figured out before. Pin 2 is the collector. Pin 3 is the emitter. Exactly the same bog standard VBE. of 0.7. So the only thing on this is we just have to bear in mind we want this to be the right current. So clearly this has got an identical spec to, for example, this little one here. The key difference is the amount of current that can pass through and the voltage rating. Now, I know enough about the circuits that I'll simply spec these higher than they need to be anyway, so we don't need to worry about that, basically. Hey, George, sorry I missed your message. Welcome in. Right, so that's one more written down. Let's put him onto our board. And the only concern I've got with this is we could swap this out for a 5-volt regulator. And I'm half tempted. See, there's the debate. What I'm going to do on this is all these idents, as they're called, these identification marks, R505, C503, all these things, they're called idents. And you're meant to place them near components. So like these are very obvious. These are for these caps. But then you get to like a spot like here, and it's very not clear what's what. Made worse over here. So look at this. Al104, which one's that? Is it this one? Is it that one? And then say this one here, there's an Al here, then a 102 here. It's just not ideal for where you're identifying them. So I'm going to move these around, even though they clone the original. So I've made it purposely look just like the original. It's not exactly original because it's got my branding on anyway. So I'm thinking I'll move all the idents around so they're more obvious and you can actually read them. Do I then just swap this out for a 5-volt LDO and pre-install it on the next batch? Because it makes no sense. We've got all this circuitry as well that isn't needed. All this is just to lower the 9-volt to 5-volt. But the only benefit is this is a switching circuit. So no, I'm going to leave it in because the 5-volt LDO generates a little bit more heat. Not massive, but enough heat. Whereas this is a switched one, so it doesn't generate as much heat. So no, we'll keep it original there. I was thinking, do we just change the pins on this to fit a 5-volt regulator? But no. Talked myself out of that one as I was talking through it because it's obviously, this is a switching one, so it generates less heat. And that's a good thing inside of a handheld. We don't want too much heat. So for this, flux on, wax off. We are going to preheat the board first. I'm going to dip it in the flux. So it's got the flux on. A bit too wide for me tweezers, this. Right, there we go. So I've got hold of it just about. I'm going to move that out of the way. Warm the pads up so they're molten first and then place it down so it takes less heat. We don't want the components sitting under the hot air for as long as the circuit board, because the circuit board is going to take longer to warm up than the chip is. So we're looking for this pad to go molten, which, there we go. So now that's all reflowing. Give it a second. Go in with the chip, knock him off my iron, nudge him in position, and then there's the dance. That dance is what people look for in a lot of components. See the slight wobble of the chip? That's from circling air around it, knocking off components like a pro, and that basically just proves that the chip is well soldered and everything's molten. So when you're blowing air in circles, the chip's following the airflow. It just proves that the chip has reflowed good before you come off with the hot air, basically. Let it cool a minute and then we'll clean that. And then we're going to do the same principle for the other transistors. Basically, we're going to identify them that way. Hey, welcome in on Twitch. We don't get many views on Twitch at all at the minute. Don't know how I'm going to grow that side of it, but we only get literally a handful of viewers on Twitch at the minute. Oh yeah, let's clean that off. I'm forgetting that's cooled down enough. Started focusing on cleaning my tweezers instead of the board. Yeah. Just warming the tips of the tweezers up. Putting some IPA into the sponge, and then when they're hot, dip them in and effectively rub the tweezers clean. That's how I clean the tweezers. So rinse and repeat. Next up, we will do the Zener diode. We can't do easily. I'll test that off stream. That's going to be quite a big setup. We have Q901 at the top left. We'll test. So I'm going to test this one, 3 pins. So I'm going to move him out the way. He should be big enough. We don't need to attach him to the board. That's Q901. Then I think we're all the way zoomed in. Oh, we're not. There we go. A little bit more zoomy. There's the little chip. We can do the digital zoom, which I'm probably going to just reduce that digital zoom a little bit because it gets a little bit pixelaty. It's good to see close up, but it's a little bit too blurry for my liking. I think we've zoomed in a little bit too much there on the digital prop side of things. So I'm just going to refloat these pins, put some flux on them, so when we put the solder on, it's going to tin the pins hopefully nice and easy. That's it. So we've got them with plenty of solder on. So it doesn't look much on camera, but now those pads have got lots of solder. We can just dab on nice and quick to try and stop it flying away. Let's get the tweezers on, because I don't want it to, if you go on too long with the iron, it's going to blow away. There we go, so that's now solid on that one. Get pin 2 on. I should probably actually use the screen. I'm trying to use my eyes. I'm forgetting I've got a giant blow-up image on screen that I can see the chip on. Where are we? Get in view. So this one can tack onto leg 2. Should probably clear that excess solder off my iron. I've got way too much on there. So we've attached it to 2 and detached it from the other one. Maybe I should have just attached this to tell you what, let's just attach this a minute to the PCB so it's not flying everywhere, because I'm just trying to stop this from moving, which is making it impossible. So let's just do that. And then now we can nice and easily tack on them legs without trying to do it backwards. So this is now nice and easy. We're not having to worry about it flying off. I should have just done this in the first place. Oh, this one does not want to tack on. There we go. That middle one was being a bit of a pain. And the end one, not quite. It's hanging on, but that's it. It's even bad for a testing standpoint. Right, that's now on. We can detach that from the board. That one was a pain. That shouldn't have been that difficult. So we've got the 3 legs on there now. Oh, I say, and then pin 2's pinged off already. That's that middle one. Dragging it around a bit too heavy. Tacking back on. Let's try that again. So I thought there was a diode because obviously we lost one of the wires. So it's an NPN transistor. This was, what did we say, Q901, did we say? Q901. Same again, NPN, BJT. Pin 1 is base, 2 collector, 3 emitter. So exactly the same as the other one in terms of pin layout. So we can get him on our board. Evening, welcome in. We're just doing the last bit of identifying a few components on the PC Engine. Has anyone got the Switch 2 as well? Like, do you think it's worth grabbing for any decent games? I don't really play the Switch, but obviously the Switch 2's out now. I don't know whether it's worth getting. I've got the ROG Ally X, which I'm playing Resident Evil 2 on. But is there anything worthwhile buying a Switch 2 for? Like, is that new Donkey Kong game any good, or is that not really worth getting? Where's my sponge there? Yep, I've just sprayed IPA into my coffee. There we are, nice and clean. That's the Xena that I'm going to have to put through a tester properly. I'm going to have to make a little test rig to really test the Xena diode and then gauge what it is. Based on the part number on it, 6.28, I'm going to say it's a 6.2 Xena. Getting a HDMI port off a PS5, really easy. Just grab your hot air station like this, put it to max temperature, max airflow. Take this tip off completely. So take this, probably do this with it off so I'm not putting my hand in. Pull this tip off. Use that. Use two of them, ideally, top and bottom, completely right as close to the port as you can get, and it comes off. If you don't want to take this off, use a big fat tip like I've got on. So use a whopping size tip, go literally onto the HDMI port as close as you can get, top and bottom with two, it'll come off in a minute. If you've only got one, you're going to be there for a long while. You're going to be like 4 or 5 minutes before it comes off, just patience. You can put some lead-free solder on the big joints as well, like just the footprint pads to help a little bit. But we don't. If you've got two hot air stations, attack it top and bottom, it comes off in literally like 60 seconds, roughly. But yeah, just a massive, power-hungry heat dissipation beast. You've really got to attack it with as much heat as you can get, basically, to get it off. So on this one, 900, I am going to lift it off and tack it straight on the board like the other one, so we're not wasting the time trying to attach the wires while it's floating around like the last one. That'll do. Tacked on there. That's like my centre view, and I'm just going to move this overhead cam as well. Again, I move this all the time on stream, but I'm going to move this slightly over because my new setup, a new centre line for my vision now is like where this chip is, because of where my screen now sits. I kind of look up and that's my central vision, but on the vertical that was offset, so I keep seeing that, glancing over and noticing on the vertical stream bits are cut off. No, it won't burn the board. You're never going to burn that PlayStation board with a 500-degree hot air. You could leave it on for 20 minutes and you're not going to even burn it. So don't even worry about that. The board is going to literally move that heat into the rest of the circuit quicker than you can pump it in. It's like a 12-layer, 3-ounce copper. And I'm pretty sure the core isn't FR4 either, so you've got a ridiculously good heat dissipator there. You basically just got a massive heat plate. So pin 1, let's hope this one's a bit easier than the last one. Seem to struggle with the last one. One's on, 2 is this one. I'll do 2 last because that's the center pad and it's probably going to melt off and move. Always says I'll do that last and then melts it off anyway. I'm sure this is just knows I want to go for a proper coffee, so it's making me work harder. There we go. That's on. That's on. Now we can tack him off. And oh, really? As soon as I take the tack off. Oh yeah, because the tack was the place the wire was attached to anyway. There we go. So there's the three pads. Zoom out and test again. This is Q900. And we have probably exactly the same as the others. Pin 1 base, pin 2 collector, pin 3 emitter. VB is a little bit lower, but again, I'm going to spec these that won't matter. They're going to be better specced than original. So pretty much exactly the same. The HFE is lower. So this is basically just one that activates slightly sooner, but that's no matter. I'll write down the value, but that's no issue. Q900, I believe these are as well. I think these go in a pair. You typically replace these in pairs when they fail for the backlight circuit. I remember vaguely doing something like this on the wiki about swapping them out. Look into the VPSB and the Game Gear link cable. Yeah, there's. I've got a few built up. I don't think I've got a link cable though, to be honest. I did have one, but we've cleaned up recently. I cleaned up a load of cables and we never use them. So I'll probably have to order one in, I think. Let me just... I'll probably just order one now anyway, just in case. I might have one in the collection. I've just binned a ton of cables, basically, so... gear link cable. If you're having issues with it, I can't even find them for sale. Probably shouldn't have binned them. If you can, I'll look later. But yeah, I'll get a link cable. If you're having issues with them though, the only, well, that's the one ASIC. Where's the 2? Got that many ones now I've built. Struggling to find a 2. There we go. The only thing you can see, really, as it comes from the CPU, I think it comes from, goes up through these filters and then into this connector. I think I saw a message on it the other day, whether it worked, so I double-checked. These pins are all definitely right. So they come from the CPU and they go to the right pins. You can double-check that with a multimeter if you're unsure, though. But just check these are soldered well, because that's all there is. There's basically just these EMI filters. And if you really wanted to, depends how far you wanted to take it, diagnosing. Let me just see. You can basically, you can take one of these off. Well, you take them all off if you want. And there's a pin. See go even closer. See these little golds either side? This is ground, either side of the board. So this center line running through all of them is ground. And basically the signal comes in here, out here, in here, out here, in here, out here. So you can remove these and replace them with 0 ohm resistors, so long as they don't touch that little ground pad. Otherwise, just send a jumper wire over the pads. But a 0 ohm resistor should sit over that without touching that ground. And then you've got a direct connection through. That's the only reason I can think. Maybe these EMI filters are not working good. But we've never had any complaints yet, and we've now sold about 400 of these boards, I think, now. So either 400 people have never used it. I'm sure I tested the prototype one with the cables before we did the clear up, but I might be wrong. But it's literally a straight through connection from CPU straight up through here to there, and I've checked the pins all right. So unless something's muddled up, you can compare these to an original, or I can literally get, an original and ball out from this pin to the CPU pin and check every pin like this. Let me just try and pull up the two. I've got the 2 ASIC open, so let's just do a test. 1 second. because what it might be is maybe the footprint of the extension port is backwards or flipped, if so. So the top left pin goes to 4 pins down. So as an example, this top left pin here, we go into continuity mode. That top left pin there goes to one of these. I think it was this one. That one there. It comes through here. So you can see it's coming through fine. So it's not going to be that filtered out. And it goes to like the top 4th pin on here on the schematic. So for example, let's just quickly check if that's right then. If I've got, I don't think I've got a single 2 ASIC left. I have absolutely no 2 ASICs left whatsoever because we gutted them all for ePCBs and we sell them constantly. I don't even have an original Game Gear 2 ASIC on me. So that would be a test. The 4th pin down on the CPU, does it go to the top left pin on here? If so, the orientation's correct. If not, let me know and I'll revise this before production. I suppose I could quickly check the 1 ASIC, because I've got 1 ASIC lying around. So let's just do a quick check on the 1 ASIC. That'll prove if the orientation is correct. So the 1 ASIC goes to the same one down to by the TMS. So basically this one, top of here, goes down to somewhere near TMS. So down here. So if the writing on the chip is this way, it's to the left of the writing, top left pin there. So we then get a 1 ASIC board. And we do that same test. We would need to see on where are we? On this chip, the writing this way. So a pin somewhere around here should go to the top pin. Where are we? The top left pin here. So let's, obviously we're flipped upside down. So I'll tell you what, let's just whip this connector off while we're here. Just so we can test it from above. I think I do this from underneath actually. Yeah, I'll do it. What game do you want me to test it on as well, by the way? Because if I can find the link cable, then I can test it later on. If not, I'll see if you can like email me a link or something if there's one available for sale somewhere. I know they can be quite a pain to get hold of. I probably should. I doubt I'd have chucked it, but I know what I'm like. When I've done a cleanup of all like the power cables and TV tuners, we've got that many of them. I went on a kind of cleaning spree the other day, so I've got a suspicion I've probably lobbed it by mistake. Right, so if this top left corner here goes to here, we are okay. Yeah, so it's going to the same, well, I'll say it's going to the same pin. Let's check it goes to the exact same pin because they probably all go right near there. So pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pins down. So it should go, according to my schematic, to match my one, it'll go 14 pins down. Oh yeah, Streets of Rage, I forgot you could do the multiplayer on there. Right, so I'm going to go that pin. And did I say 14 pins down? I think I just did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, so same pin. You could do that test if you wanted on all the pins, comparing it to, go on each of these pins and find out which pin on here it beeps to. But I can tell you now where they go to. They basically are all in a line from there. So they go from 12 pins down, then pin 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So they're all in a line, basically. So all of them pins we've just seen on the original board, you go 10 or 11 pins down here, and then all of them in a row go to all these pins here. So you could go with continuity to check they all match an original. But based on the schematic, they do. And then let me know if you find a problem. It just saves me the time. I can do it for you if you want, but that'll save me a bit of time. And you can just compare it to this board. If they all ball out and they match, I just then replace these and remove them and bridge over. And then if they fail, I know these components are not good, these EMI filters. So they're just bog standard 100 megahertz EMI filters. So they shouldn't be filtering out anything below 100 meg. So there shouldn't be a problem, but they might be, if you know what I mean. There might be a fault. So just let me know on that one, but hopefully there's no issues. I don't think there is. We've never had any other reports of it whatsoever, so I don't think we've got issues. It's 186. Go in there. Where did I learn all this? Just all self-taught. Just literally figured it all out with lots of time and energy. We are building, we are now, we were building Game Gears. So the re-PCBs, the 1A6 have come in. That's the 2A6, but we've just finished building up and testing the 1A6. They now fully work for VA 1, 2, 4, and 5 in every way. Fully tested now, completely working. So these are going to go in production today, but I'm just going to wait on that extension port test first to make sure the pins are definitely correct. And then we'll put this in production as well. We also have, I nearly forgot, what time did we start this? 6:36 I started this, and we're on, 8:36? That's a perfect 2-hour window. So let me just go and grab the Game Boy. So the other thing I've made, and that's now going to bug me, I need to clean up again a minute. Otherwise I've got a filthy desk on camera. Is I've also made a new Clean Juice AA. So this now sits over rechargeable AA batteries, which we're also having made, and lets you have now rechargeable AAs instead of custom LiPos. This is a battery drain test. So we've got Pokemon Emerald, we've got some clean light UV LEDs, we've got the audio in, and everything's set at the minute to how I personally played. So the brightness right in the middle of the R, the volume, that's obviously max. I play my volume about there, nice and like almost basically like the original max volume. And the light's just on dim. These are actually glow in the dark lights. So if I just turn these all the way up, I'm realizing you can't actually see that on the vertical one. So these are UV lights, like actual UV, not just looking like UV. If I get them all the way off, they're now off, and then I turn the lights off. Ta-da! So we've got glow in the dark buttons. These are actually a lot more glow in the dark than they look on camera. But bear in mind, I've had them on the lowest setting. So these would be a lot more glow in the dark. That's also a UV light. It's quite nice in the dark. This is quite soothing. And that's lost focus as well. Shall we do a night stream? So we'll just go through the night like this. So what I want to do now is measure the battery. This has been going now for 4 hours. 2 hours yesterday. 2 hours on this stream. I'm trying to basically get a battery chart, a real usage battery chart. So when we release these, we can say to you, if you're using a clean screen, a clean amp, clean light, like every mod, and you have them on these settings that we've got on, which is a nice setting to have it on, you'll get this amount of battery out of it, and the red light will come on at this level, and you've got X amount of minutes left to give some user feedback so they know what to expect from the batteries. And obviously, in order to give that accurate and not be the batteries, we're also having AA batteries made for us with our own branding on. are going to be the maximum capacity nickel metal hydride, which is 2,500 milliamps. The battery factory tell me because I said there's others that quote 2,800, and he said yeah, they're just fake. It's physically incapable of fitting more than 2,500 milliamps in a battery of an AA. The battery technology can't be squeezed. It's what it is. Anyone that advertises they got 2,800, for example, completely fake. They're not. They're 2,500. So we'll have brand new batteries made for us. The cells are made when we make them. So we order like a couple of thousand at a time, and the battery factory will actually make them for us as we are doing that. So we know the fresh batteries, the brand new, and we can guarantee you're going to get X amount of playtime out of them. So you can either buy our AA rechargeables, or you're more than welcome to buy your own. They just have to be nickel metal hydride, basically 1.2 volt AAs. That's the thing you need. So now 2 hours ago this was 2.55 volts. This is now 2.41, so still going strong. The battery light won't come on until 2.2, so we've got some hours on this. I'm gonna have to play it later as well. So 2.41. This is good though, we want it to last. So 2.41 volt is 4 hours in. And then this will all be public info. I'll post this on the product page when it comes out. And it's stone cold as well. Absolutely no heat, because this clean juicer doesn't just sit between the batteries and charge them. It actually regulates the voltage. So your Game Boy gets a nice clean 3.3 volts. It lowers it to 2.6 or 2.7, I think it was, when the batteries get low. So it turns on your LED. So basically when the batteries are low, it'll turn this LED to a different color. In my case, it's a UV light, and then when it goes low, I don't know what it does. I can't remember. I think it goes red and UV, so we might have to struggle to see red. I can't even remember on mine. But yeah, this is so far 4 hours in, and it's gone from 2.9 to 2.4, and it wasn't even quite fully charged. So I didn't fully charge it, and because this has got safety built in, I unplugged it at probably like 95% charge. When you plug it back in, it won't attempt to recharge the battery once it's almost full because of overcharging. So I didn't quite get a full charge in these, but it's good enough. At least it's better to be under than over, so we're not accidentally over-quoting things. So I'm going to put him back over the side again. And in fact, I'm going to turn him off now because I want to do it in kind of 2 hour stints. Yep, I do answer chat. And actually, I'll keep this over here now. I'll put this on for another 2 hours later on a set timer, so that we can do it in 2 hour chunks. But so far, it's going strong. So we were, before that slight diversion, just testing some of these components that are left on this board. And we had Q900 we actually wrote down. That is a BJT NPN. Yep, it is. So this one now wants to be transferred onto our board. And then I'll just call it a day for now, because I'm going to get on with software again and go for a coffee. I might be back on later today because I'm going to be in here later in the day. So I'll probably do a stream as well for those that aren't up at stupid o'clock in the morning. We'll probably do a more regular daytime stream today as well. Game Boy Macro, yeah, the DSs. I'm not a fan of DSs. Not in one bit. Oh, still got that on absolute max when we were taking off that extension port. There we go. So this will be the last one I put on for today, and then I'll catch you all probably, I want to say, later today, if anyone joins in later today. Oh, I don't think I got anybody answer about the Switch as well, unless I missed the chat. I was saying, like, does anyone think it's worth buying the Switch 2? Like, is there any good games? I've got the ROG Ally X and I play Resident Evil 2 on it, but just think there's any games worthwhile that are unique to the Switch 2 that makes it worth getting. Because I might grab one of them now I'm And I don't think the X-Real Air VR headset I've got, or glasses rather, I've got, actually work on the Switch 2 the last time I read up. So that'll be kind of a buzzkill as well, because I've started using them now. A bit of excess solder on that leg that looks ugly. Just clean them up. There we go. Clean and basically done. There's just a few components to swap over. We've got this, and this, which it should be easy to identify. And the 5 pins, and I think the 6 pins and 5 pins. The 6 pins are probably easy. They're just dual transistors. The 5 pins, not sure what they're going to be yet, but I'll figure that out. This is basically then all transferred over, and now we're just waiting on the ribbon connector for this, a new wheel for here, and I think that's it. And then we can try and bring this one up. So I'll probably bring this one up in, it'll be about a week now, I think, until the stuff arrives. I've had to get a lot of the components from China, so that'll be a little while. Oh yeah, I've been on and off this for like, I think it had like a good 12 hours identifying all the components. That was the main time consumer. But we're basically there now with it. And we've got a bill of materials we can trust that I've seen with my own eyes and you guys have all seen on stream. So if we made any mistakes, we can always look back at the videos. But we should have now a BOM we can trust, so we know what every single one of these components is, pretty much. Yeah, so that's it, guys. I'll catch you maybe later today.